Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Let's get into it. We got a special guest hailing in from Europe. Hopefully, we can keep him on calm this time. This is round two. I'll let him introduce himself. Dave, give the listeners where you're from, family, how long you served, duty stations, operations, brief professional bio.
All right. How y'all doing? I'm retired gunnery sergeant David Carnes. I was a artillery operations chief of the Marine Corps for about 15 years. And prior to that, I was a 3C2 X1 in the Air Force. Got out after 5.5 years as a staff sergeant in the Air Force. I did a little over 20 years and a month, but who really counts? I currently live in Germany. That's where my wife's from. Got 2 daughters, and actually got one about to go to nursing school in the fall, so proud papa here. Been retired since summer of 21. And been living out here for just shy of 3 years now. And yeah, it's not too bad out in Europe. I can't complain. It's not like what everyone says, and it's a whole lot of people are armed around here. My entire village is loaded with guns, so
That's
I
what's
feel
up.
like I'm at home. It's like it was like in the States. I left, grew up in Florida, joined the Air Force, and signed up in 2000. They put me in delayed entry for 9 months, hit boot camp May 2001. Then I was in my MOS school or tech school when the towers fell. Then I completely, just like everyone else at the time, changed our reasons for enlisting. And first base was San Antonio. Went back to boot camp for my first base, like going back to Paris Island. Was not a happy camper there. But had a chance to do a deployment in 2002, and then I had orders to go to Korea. Did a year there. Ended up in Germany. Did a deployment to Iraq, where my unit did the air support for Fallujah. I was pretty proud of what we accomplished there. And then that was also about the point where I decided that I'd probably want to switch branches. I was volunteering after hours at the CASA, the Contingency Aeromedical Staging Facility on Balad in Iraq. Basically getting guys prepped or helping them on their way out of out of Iraq. Usually guys are pretty injured, put them on a flight. And then some of the people were, there was a lot of messed up dudes there, and a lot of them were married. A lot of them had wives, kids. And I was sitting there as a single guy in relatively good shape for, the Air Force. And it's like I felt I could be doing more. It wasn't that I didn't understand how my job in the Air Force impacted things. It's just I felt like I could be doing more. And maybe, I don't know, in a weird type of way, maybe I would take the bullet for these married guys instead of them so they can go home with families. So, yeah, and then I got back to Germany after that deployment, ECS to Florida, and decided I just need to go ahead and do it. So it was up between the Army and the Marine Corps. At the time, this is 2006, the Army was doing 18 to 22 months in theater. And I'm a big fan of deploying. I just didn't want a PCS to Iraq or Afghanistan. So even though the Army would have let me keep my rank, I would switch over to the E5. That whole 7-month thing the Marines were doing at a time. You might do back to back, but between those back to back, you at least got some dwell time, even if it is only 6 months. That's more than the Army was offering, and and the uniforms, you can't really beat those.
Amen. Amen.
Since September 1st, 2006, I walked into the Fort Walton Beach Marine Corps recruiter. And I was actually in my Air Force camis. I said, sign me up. He goes, hey, Air Force Reserve is next door. I go, no, I'm in the right spot. He goes, all right, hey, I can't talk to you. Your command signs this. So he gave me a piece of paper, and I got my command assigned the next day, came back in, and he's like, all right, when do you want to go to MEPS? Had to redo the ASVAB, had to redo all the MEP stuff. And they asked me, they're like, well, so what do you want to do? And the recruiter said, you want to do the same job you have now, which was communications? I was like, really iffy for me. I don't really care. And I was like, can I skip the tech school, the MOS school? And he's like, no. I was like, well, how long is it? And he goes, well, you go to it it's about a year long at 29 Palms. He's like, nah, what else you got? He's like, well, we need artillery. I was like, tight. And so I ended up going artillery. So, yep, September 1st, walked into that office. September 25th, I was out of the Air Force. And October 10th, I was driving into Paris Island as recruit Carnes. So that was a pretty
Yeah.
fast
Long story
process.
short.
Yeah. The funny thing is, after 9/11, the Air Force got packed because everyone, I can't say this without sounding like I'm crapping on the Air Force, but a lot of people wanted to serve, but not really be in that much danger. Air Force gave you that opportunity. Obviously, there's fields to go out there and get some. Yeah. Sorry, they're CCTs, they're TAC-Ps, even some of the security police. There are some fields out there to go out there and get some. I'm not knocking them, but most of the Air Force, you're safe. Like the occasional mortar or rocket, and you're pretty good. So the Air Force in 2004, 2005 was already drawing down. They had got so many people enlisted that they were cutting back. So for me to go, hey, can I switch all the branches? It was a no-brainer for them. So they went ahead, and that's why everything got signed over so fast. And then went to Paris Island. I managed to be a squad leader. I didn't graduate with any honors or anything like that. I just did my thing there. I found out they read my jacket about a week and a half in when I heard recruit Air Force report to the core deck. And yeah, that was me. And they hazed me trained me for a little bit. And I mean, it wasn't really that bad. I wasn't a problem recruiter. I know the yes or no sir and military stuff. They didn't scare me. And I knew what games they were playing. I knew why they were picking on certain guys over other guys. And I knew where they were trying to get to. So I was still a recruit, but I was able to enable them to do more stuff because they didn't have to waste time on me. And I helped the guys in the platoon through it all. So I didn't really get fucked with the boot camp. It was a fitness program for me. And then
Oh, yeah, that's
MCT, and then MCT in February in North Carolina. That was a lot of fun. That night land nav certainly lives up to its name in the co-ed Marine Corps. I won't elaborate on that one. And then Fort Sill for artillery school, and then off to Okinawa for 2 years. Got a deployment to Iraq out of that one in '07, '08, and nothing really happened. Actually, we didn't do shit for 7 months. Just worked out a lot. Okay, I won't tell that story. But sorry, I had a team leader that was very interesting. I don't know if he's still around, so I'll keep his name out of it. It involved a gator. Yeah. So you might need to edit that out. That did Iraq, went back to Okinawa, got married. What else? Moved to Lejeune, went to Afghanistan from there, and then security forces for 3 years, which was amazing. McSiff Bend down at Kings Bay in South Georgia. If you get a chance to do security forces, it's an amazing job. It was a great B billet. And then I reported to 11th Marines in Camp Pendleton for my first firing battery as an ops chief. I got 31st MEU out of that one, and that was my last deployment. I think it was like 2016, and then hung around Pendleton for another year and a half, and then went to the artillery training school in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Did my final 3 years and retired. Yeah.
how did you where'd you meet your wife at?
She was a friend of mine when I was stationed in Germany in the Air Force. They
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their schooling's different. You graduate in 10th grade. You graduate high school in 10th grade, and then you go to training school the government pays for. So my daughter right now is going to be a crank instructor, which is a nurse. She graduates here in like a month. And then in the fall, she goes to one of the university hospitals and she trains to be a nurse. Whereas in the States, you do your high school, then it's a 4 year degree at the university. Here, by the time my daughter's 19, she's going to have a trade school degree and be able to be a nurse anywhere in Germany when most kids are just doing
Nice.
their freshman year of college.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the system, but the wife was on her last year of her Ausbildung and doing her job, and then that's where I met her. And she
Nice.
followed
And he
me
just kept in
around. We
touch
got
the
married a
entire time,
couple
huh?
years later.
He just kept in touch the entire time, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Talked to her. It was the Marine Corps knocking some sense into me. The Marine Corps is the one that made me grow up. The Air Force, I was just running around doing whatever, dumb, young, drunk guy stuff. And Marine Corps wising me up. I was still young, dumb, and drunk, but they made me have a different set of priorities.
Oh, that's so funny. That's what's up, Dave. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time and telling your story. Um, obviously, there's some deployments there under your belt, obviously, right? Give the listeners a little bit of a maybe not a story, it's just real life experience of adversity, either throughout the deployments or actually, you know what? Backtrack. I apologize. Which was your favorite duty station out of all those in your career?
Germany was a lot of fun. Spangdahlem Air Base. Korea was a lot of fun. That was just 365 days again drunk. As soon as you land, they green bean you. Normally have it like this week-long check-in process at every other base, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 3 months if you're really able to drag it out. But they put all these check-in units at the hangar. So they hand you a sheet, you drop your bags down, and then you just walk around the hangar and you get checked into base within 45 minutes. And then your unit meets you. They go, "Do you need a shower or anything?" You're like, "No." They take your bags to your barracks room and they take you out in town and get you drunk. So 2.5 hours after your landing, you are completely smashed in Korea. And that's pretty much what you do every night of the week until you're brown bean, which is ready to get you smashed and you're hungover on the flight home. But other than that, I thought
Wow.
Camp Hansen on Okinawa was pretty nice, but Kings Bay was probably my favorite. McSiff Bend. It's a small base, about a half hour north of Jacksonville, Florida. Exit 1 in Georgia on 95, and it's a beautiful town, beautiful small town, beautiful coastline, great fishing, and yeah, it was amazing.
What was which duty station did you least like?
I was not a fan of Lejeune. I wasn't a fan of Lejeune at all.
I don't think anybody is in the Marines.
No, that main gate traffic drove me nuts. I lived way on the country there, and that might have been my bad for getting a house so far out. But either way, the traffic, like 2 hours in to get into base every morning, and an hour and a half to get out in the afternoon. That was, yeah, it was no bueno. I went back there for a couple classes later in my career, and looked like they fixed some of the traffic with some new bridges and new entrances and stuff. But yeah, I did not enjoy it while I was there.
Which out of all those times you were CONUS during operations or field option, which was the most kinetic for you?
For when?
For your when you were in the Marine Corps when you deployed, which was the most kinetic, um, the most
Probably
action you received?
well, my first deployment with the Marine Corps, the 0708 to Al Taqaddum in Anbar in Iraq, we didn't see shit. Nothing happened. We just basically fucked around and lifted weights and ate chow the entire time and did dumb Marine stuff. The second deployment of the Marines was to it was in Afghanistan out in Helmand Province, and I got to work with then Colonel Smith, who's now the CMC, and that dude was pretty awesome. Uh, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but he's a straight gangster when it comes to anything unarmed combat. And we had a lot of good times out there, basically hearing stories from his sergeant major while we're out there. But that was the most connected because I was in a COC. I was safe. I was good. But we oversaw everything in Northern Helmand, and I was part of the fires desk. So all the HIMARS, the artillery, everything got processed through us. And a lot of times, like when we're nuking guys with HIMARS, we have those little planes or whatever. The I can't even think the UAVs up in the air, and we're like zoomed in on these guys' faces as the rockets are coming down. So these guys aren't like 500 meters away in a wood line. You may or may not have got them. This was like we're watching like HD TVs, watching the bombs hit people's foreheads.
Real life Call of Duty when you get a kill streak.
That's exactly what it was. And so that was this one. That's the most kinetic, but it wasn't like it was kinetic as in danger for me. But we participated with a lot of kinetic actions on the enemy, and that was pretty cool. And to have that view from on high, looking down and supporting the battlefield from that angle, yeah. And then nothing happened that entire tour. I finally got off base. The first time I got off base in all my deployments was on that one, and that's because I lied about being a MAT V driver. Our base KR our base QRF got hit by an IED a couple days before, and one of the guys was on the concussion protocol. He couldn't do anything for 2 weeks or a week and a half. So they were short guys, and they said, "Hey, anyone have a MAT V license?" I was like, "Me." And they were reservists. They didn't care. So they're like, "All right, come on over here. You say you got one, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And so that was the first time I got to go off base was in a vehicle I was definitely not qualified to drive in. That was fun. But it was just
That's
a
what's
quick
up.
trip in the city and then come out. But for me, that was the excitement of my career.
That's what's up. That's funny. And it's funny. Didn't even verify. It was funny because when I was in Afghanistan, I got to drive those little helixes, fully loaded helixes. I don't know if you did the little stick shifts. Dude,
Yeah,
those
yeah, I
were
know what you're talking about.
amazing, dude. Everywhere I went, it was just, condition one. I was driving the helix with whoever was my supervisor because I was a corporal at the time. And I was just gunning down the dirt roads. It was amazing. Good
You
times.
understand why the
Good times.
Taliban likes them so much, why they're like the preferred vehicle of terrorists around the world, and they can handle the
Yeah.
desert pretty well.
Yeah, they're pretty good vehicles. I remember the first time I drove one, I stalled it out because I didn't know the hell I was doing, pressing random buttons and stuff. Anyways, but let me ask you something. What do you a transition? How was your transition from the Marine Corps to civilian? Was it difficult for you? Did you are you transition? Do you still miss it? What's going on there?
Well, I'll answer the last one. You're always going to miss it. You'll never get it out of your system, and that's why we have VFWs and Foreign Legion because no one ever truly gets it out of your system. As for the other stuff, Fort Sill was pretty locked on with their transition programs, and I had my program started almost a year out and had everything approved. It was funny because I retired during Biden's administration, but I had submitted my stuff so early that my retirement paperwork came in a year before, and it was signed by Donald Trump. So I got Trump signed even though I retired during Biden. So that was, I thought that was funny. They're like, Biden's been president for a year and a half. I was like, yeah, but I submitted the very second I could. I was, uh, yeah. But the transition wasn't bad. I did Skill Bridge, which was for me, it was a chance to get out early, but I found sort of a loophole. I had a company that wasn't in Texas, but they were in Texas. I was the only person in Texas. Basically, I sat at home and for once a week, I had to do a video conference with their people in Massachusetts. Took like 20 minutes, and then that was it. That was my 6 month out early skill bridge, which wasn't that bad.
I mean, you could slip it on the table and let me know what company that is for my skill bridge later on.
They're still out there. I'm still in touch with the guy that my sponsor from that. And he does a lot of good work up in the Northeast with veterans. But yeah,
Nice,
then
nice,
I
nice, man.
signed up
That's
for
good.
T.
I'm glad they're. Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah. For the transition thing, it was just because I already had plans. I guess I'm finding out it's harder for the guys who either so indoctrinated by the military, like the 30-year master guns, who don't know anything other than the military and they don't know what they're gonna do, and then the kids who are doing 4 years like I'm getting out, I'm getting out, I'm getting out, but they never honestly think about what they want to do after. Those are the ones that always have trouble. If you put just a little bit of thought into what you want to do after, transitioning is not that hard. It shouldn't be that scary, except if you're in those classes, and it basically comes down to not knowing what you want to do. In my case, I was getting out. I had the skill bridge lined up. I was already admitted into TCU, Texas Christian there in Fort Worth. And as soon as I got out, and even though I was on skill bridge and wasn't supposed to, I did have a job at a brewery, so I was like double dipping. So I had a lot of money coming in. I was still getting full gunny pay. I was working at a brewery. I was doing my skill bridge, and I was getting ready to go to TCU. So I mean, for me, it was easy. It was cake, but I had all my ducks in a row. I'd been planning it for a while.
It all worked out. Nice.
Yeah.
Pushing. So Dave, obviously transition was easy for you. That's a good point. You mentioned the guys that do like four have no idea because they're so young, and then the ones that are thoroughly indoctrinated, doing 30, 25 plus years, they don't know what else to do. They don't know what to do. That's a good point. I never thought about it that way. And for those folks that do 20, they kind of already have an idea what they're going to do when you get out. So that's actually a good point. I never thought about that. I got to ask a couple of senior enlisted and senior officers to see what they say, see if that's the case. But uh, now fast track, right? We talked about, I mentioned earlier before we backtracked, adversity resilience. We got to give these young Marines, young service members, tools for the toolbox. Give them a quick story where you faced, adversity, and then how were you resilient from it? Because if you weren't resilient, right, you wouldn't be in front of me talking to me, telling your story.
Yeah. So everyone has to find out what works for them. Last time we attempted this thing, talking about time. So did my 2 years in Okinawa, whenever as a PFC, left as a sergeant. I thought I was doing hot shit, but I had deployed in my career field, but we didn't really do anything in Iraq. So I didn't know anything except the basics from my career field. I never went into any field ops in Okinawa because we deployed as soon as we got there. So I got to Lejeune as a sergeant thinking I was hot shit. And then it hit me in the face really quickly that I didn't know shit about my actual job, being a team leader in my career field. And I got found out pretty quick on our first field op. And that was actually my first field op. But that's when I realized that, hey, you're a sergeant. No one gives a shit anymore. You either know your job or you don't. So that was like a come to Jesus moment for me. And I had to get on that horse because at that point no one cared. They just wanted results and I wasn't producing them. But what that did, it got my ass in gear and got me really reevaluating where my strengths and weaknesses were and what I need to work on the most. To know yourself and seek self-improvement, that really kicked me in the ass. And so I had to really get introverted for a while and look at myself and figure out what I need to work on, figure out how I was going to work on it, and figure out how I was going to be better for my guys going forward. Because ultimately, it's not just falling on you. If you're a team leader, you got guys underneath you that are relying on you to be solid as well. So that really kicked my ass in gear. And then later in my career, it helped because I was able to recognize, like, hey, I probably, especially with the op tempos we had, it's like I know I wasn't the only guy in that position. I wasn't the only brain dead sergeant trying to figure out my ass from a hole in the ground. So it helped me sort of be able to pick those guys out of the crowd. And tell those guys it's okay to be mid. I say that comes out bad, but let me explain it here because you always have that guy in your platoon. You always have the chesty puller. You have the guys on every single meritorious board. That is an awesome person to strive for. But 90% of us ain't that person. You don't have to be that person. You can go, I want to be successful like them. I want to be straightforward. I want to be a PT stud. I want to be this. That's all stuff that's admirable you can work on. But understanding that not everyone is that person, that helps you understand yourself better. And then you can be successful in what you can be successful in. I'll never run a 300 PFT. I can't get under 21 minutes for the life of me, but I can do pull-ups like a mofo. So I'll knock out 35 of those. It's just show off for the young bucks, you know? Or, you know, you have to know yourself and you have to know what's not attainable. If that makes sense, and be the king of your own domain. It's cool to look at other kings and be like, I respect that, but make sure you got your area unlocked first.
That's good. That's good. That's really
Trying to
good.
be
I'll
all
tell you what. No, that's good. I mean, I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's good. To be the king of your own domain. Like, there's those principles and traits, or those are applicable. Those are tangible. Those are things that you can be realistic with yourself individually, and then be able to expand your career experience, your traits, whatever it is that you're trying to work on. Those are things that can expand and help others around you. When you, like you said, be the king of your own domain first. Right? You can't help others when you're struggling, right?
absolutely.
That's good advice. I tell you what, that kind of that too is twofold. I usually like to ask, hey, give them a tool for a toolbox for those Marines or service members that are taking 30-inch step in the wrong way. That's good. That's good advice. The 30-inch step, I'm talking about suicide, right? We struggle with suicide as service members for some odd reason. I mean, we could point the finger here and there, but there's too many sides to that coin. Though, whenever it's like a Dungeons and Dragon dice, have you seen those? There's just too many sides to figure out. But that's good. Be the king of your own domain. Be introverted for a little bit so that you can be successful outside. Right? That's good advice.
100%.
I'll tell you what, Dave. Give me something. Germany. Are you fluent in in whatever language they speak over there? German?
Well, the Germans speak German. There and then there's and there's dialects. So when you're looking at foreign language, whether it be Japanese, Korean, Spanish, German, French, whatever, as an American or as someone who speaks one language, you don't really recognize that their language is just like it is in the States. So we have the French Creole down there in Louisiana. You have your Northeast accent. You have your out west. You have your West Virginia hick stuff. The same thing in Germany. So my wife's area is right on a Czech border behind the wall. My wife was born a commie. I'm breeding that out. We're working on that. But their accent is like backwoods West Virginia, like, and when they drank a beer or two, my understanding, I can be conversational if they're sober. One or two beers in, which is usually by this time in the afternoon, 5 beers ago, I don't understand what the hell they're saying. They drop into that accent and it's done. But everyone over here is real nice. Surprisingly, we do rodeos. My wife's actually a barrel racer. They do American style rodeos. They play our national anthem. There's American
Wow.
flags. Yeah, I'll send you some pictures of it. It's like an old West town about a kilometer from my house here. And we have another rodeo coming up in 2 months, so we're prepping for that. But a lot of people know at least somewhat enough English, and I know enough German to where we can usually meet in the middle. And I haven't had too many issues with anyone over here. And they're all super nice once you get past the German culture wall they have, where they always seem like uptight and straight to the point. They're all awesome people.
It sounds like Marines, whatever. I'm glad you're having fun, man. I'm glad transition is nice. I'm glad you're doing well. You're living life. So how old are your daughters? You said you have two daughters or one?
Yeah, I got two daughters. Oh, it's punishment, if you will. No, I got
Uh,
no,
sure.
I got two healthy kids, which is all I was looking for. Two beautiful daughters. One's 11, one's 15. Like I said, the one graduates here in a little bit, and then starts. Yeah,
15?
yeah, I know. I struggle with that daily. Her school's only 45 minutes away, so dad's still right there. But yeah,
So she's gonna graduate at 16 or 15?
she turned 16 at the first week of May. But yeah, she'll be, yeah, probably, yeah, technically graduating at 16. But like I said, at
That's
19, she's going to be done and be able to get paid as a fully licensed nurse anywhere in Germany.
do your kids ever think about coming back to the States?
Yeah, that she actually wants after she does the German nursing program, she wants to go to Florida Gulf Coast University, which is my hometown in South Florida, Fort Myers, Florida. It's the local university there. They have a great nursing school. So she wants to get her degree here in Germany and then
Uh,
go get it in the States and then do the traveling nurse thing and just make bank everywhere.
yeah,
But it's in the family. Her grandma's a
that's
nurse, my
nice.
mom's a
She's
nurse.
smart.
Yeah, I'm happy for her. She's got it all planned out. She's very driven. She would have been a
Yeah.
great Marine.
Yeah. She was your first boy.
Okay, well, yeah.
That's funny, dude. That's awesome. No, that's good. I'm glad that she's well driven. She's really smart. So she's probably Didn't get anything from us. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, my 17-year-old
No,
doesn't get anything from us.
no.
Hey, where can they reach you at if they like this conversation? They want to know more about you. Where can they reach you at?
Right now, I'm pretty much, let's see, I got off Facebook because you mentioned the suicide thing. I was seeing way too many of my people on there almost every time I logged on. So I had to take a break from Facebook. I mostly I'm on Twitter, just showing pictures of my weed, which that's what I grow out here in Germany legally. Legally, I should say. See, I'm pointing. I mean, it's legally. Hey, I was consistent all 20 years I was in. I told everyone I worked with, this is what I'm doing when I get out, whether it's 4 years, 6 years, or 20 years. And that's what I'm doing. Uh,
That's what's up.
yeah, it keeps me
So
in a better mood.
just Twitter.
Yep, just Twitter. Dave ist 3D at Twitter. I'm mostly on there because I'm bored, and and being out here in Germany, I don't have anyone. That's the real killer right there is loneliness. When you talked earlier about always thinking the military and do you miss it? I don't have anyone out here with a shared experience. So Twitter is my shared experience. I'm able to get on there and either troll and just take out my own anger on innocent people from around the world, or I show pictures of my weed and people go, "You suck at growing," or "That's awesome." I'm like, "Thank you for the validation." And then I interface a lot with veterans, and it's good because it just reminds me of a smoke pit. We're just talking crap back and forth, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there again. And that actually, for my mental health, it helps a lot. It helps a lot. 'Cause like I said, I don't have anyone out here. Like other conversations like these or on Twitter or emails and whatnot, there's no other veterans here. There's no one who has a shared experience that I can just hang out with. So that's where Twitter comes in for me.
Dang, that's rough. That's tough. But you got my number. I know we've been talking a little bit here and there, but you got my number. You got me on Twitter, man. If you need anything, let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host Gunny G and Dave Carnes, where service members help service members. Period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on all social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, me and Dave, we were out, but after round two because we had comms issues. But I blame the comms guy. That's what I blame.
Where's Jamie? Wait. Oh, wait.
Hey, I'm gonna hit you up a little later. I still need a couple things for this session, so
Okay.
please just whenever you can get them to me, and then we'll keep. You got my number, man. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
So just let me know what you need, and then I'll get it to you.
All right, Dave. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. We're out.
All right.
Stand by, contact. Ceasefire. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.